Most people know what a movie director is. A director is the head honcho, the boss of the film set. When a movie is really good, the director is the one that gets most of the credit. But what does a director actually do on set? Not just what he's responsible for, we get all that. But what job does he have actually on the day-to-day on set? Now, I finished my short film last year called Lone Mountain, which is behind me. I was discussing with my aunt about the film I just completed when she found out that my brother, who was the director of photography, was actually the one manning the camera the whole time, and I had different heads of department that were doing specific things like set deck, script supervising, so on and so forth. She then asked me surprisingly, so if you weren't on camera, what were you doing? And I kind of struggled to answer that question. I couldn't give an exact answer, and of course, it wasn't I wasn't doing anything, I was doing everything as director on set, and that's kind of the answer that I gave her. And for most people that don't understand the film industry, they usually think the director who's over the entire film is the one controlling the camera, the one operating the camera. And that role is almost never assigned to the director. It's always assigned to the director of photography, or he would be assigning it to someone like an operator, a camera op. So the question goes again back to, what does a director actually do? What is his job on set? Like, does he just sit in the director chair and order everyone else around him to do stuff for him? Kind of. In some ways, maybe that is the case. He does just kind of just do a lot of sitting. Is he just taking advantage of people and taking credit for their better work for him? He just sits around and watches them. The example I like to use to describe a director is kind of like using a CEO for a company. They don't have a specific task of operations. It's the same thing for a director for the film. They are the chief creative decision maker, and they're the ones that have to sign off on all the decisions made by all the heads of department underneath them. Believe me, it sounds easy, but it's actually incredibly stressful and really time consuming on set. When you have 10 to 100 crew members all looking to you for every major decision to be signed off on because it's your vision, it's your project, that's something that takes the majority of your day just communicating and talking to people. Now, there's never a dull moment for a director on set, and the most experienced ones are really good at delegating, but that's not all what they do, right? It's not just about delegation, it's not just about having people make decisions for you and shuffling off the responsibility. There is actually a major part of directing. Since the beginning of cinema, this is what directors primarily did: watch and adjust performances of the actors in a film. It is a sacred opportunity and responsibility. In fact, no one else is allowed to talk to actors and give adjustments to performances on set. That responsibility is meant to be given to the director and the director only. For many directors, I think this is their favorite part, and for me, it definitely is as well. When you have so many other department heads that need to talk to the director on set, it's definitely a balancing act to find when to interact with the actors and build that rapport, help them build and find the character you want to find, and also be able to maintain all other aspects of the film. That's why we find many directors having different focuses. Some are known as the actor's director, where they're there primarily for the actor, and their department heads can handle the rest of the film. And then on the other hand, we have some directors who let the actors run with it more, give them more leeway, and they only make tweaks when they're really off course from what their vision is. And they take a much more hands-on approach with the other aspects like cinematography and production design. But the cool part is, it is the director's choice to what and who can take creative licenses to the film. A director is the chief creative head for a film. He or she oversees all aspects from start to finish to maintain the creative vision from script to final edit. Of course, he could do it all if he wanted to in theory, but it would be physically impossible to do every single role on set and in post-production. It would be a worse film because of it. There's no way he could actually achieve that, right? But as a CEO knows that their time is most valuable making creative decisions for the vision of the company, the direction of it, the same goes for the director. Hire out the positions of the best people you know in the business to do that job, whether it be sound, lighting, camera, director of photography, musical score, and you guide them in the direction you want to take it. And so in that case, what does he actually do when he's on set? Does he just sit around in that big comfy chair yelling through a megaphone on what to do? Yeah, there's a lot of that happening. There's a lot of telling people what to do. There's a lot of sitting on a chair watching. I mean, the goal of the director is not to do the jobs. The goal is to convey his vision. And that's really what he's supposed to be doing. I think it's said best by Quentin Tarantino. I'll play that clip.
You think you have to do everything, and you don't. You don't need to know how to take a bunch of different light stands and put them together to create a specific lighting effect. That's not your job. You don't need to know any of that. What you need to know is you need to have a vision, and you need to know how to express it. And then you let the other people take it and do it for you. That is what a director does.
What is most important for a director to control throughout all these different aspects of the film is two things: tone and mood of the film. And that's a really tough thing to articulate. What does it actually mean? What are the decisions that are made to control those two things? It could be in the form of production design with designers and art department, trying to decide the color palette, the set design. It could be deciding what format and aspect ratio to shoot on, lens choices, camera movement. It could be the way actors deliver and convey their lines and characters, etc., etc. Any one of these decisions can make a film be dramatically different. When you think of the differences between a David Fincher film and a Wes Anderson film, that is the impact the director has on the entire film. Imagine Greta Gerwig directing Oppenheimer, or Christopher Nolan directing Barbie. That right there is exactly what a director can do on a film. And that's exactly why we go watch these films, because we have the styles and the tones and the moods from these different directors. There's one task every director must be doing at a very high level, and I would even go as far as saying directors that will operate camera themselves, or do DP, or even act in their own films, in my opinion, would actually maybe make it lesser of an opportunity for them to do this one thing. And there are many that are great directors that act in their own films, like Ben Affleck, Mel Gibson, Kenneth Branagh, all great directors, all great actors. I would never be so bold to do so with the likes of Paul Thomas Anderson, who's now acting as his own camera operator and director of photography. Other directors famously known like Michael Bay, Robert Rodriguez, who is always on camera while shooting. Then you have the likes of Steven Soderbergh, who not only is directing their film, they're also shooting it, they're also editing and post-production. They just kind of do it all. And for me in my last short film, at the request of my brother, I did actually operate a few shots. It was a great experience, really cool to get my hands on and operate the camera. There's one thing that all directors listening should be doing while on set, and that one job is to take through every shot, every take, every scene, and view it through the perspective of the audience. It's their job to make sure they find that experience and keep that perspective of the audience, whether it be through the video village, through the eyepiece of the camera, or right next to camera as they're directing every single scene. And that sounds really simple. It sounds like that's anyone's job. Everyone likes to watch a movie, but I tell you, it is not easy at all. And it's actually very challenging to make these decisions creatively. Even though they may not be the one operating the camera that you see on set, they're not yelling out the big megaphone telling everyone what to do. That's more what the assistant director does on set. He's the one that kind of runs the ship. You are in charge as director to be over the creative vision. And you're in charge to tell when to roll, when to cut, when to do it again, and when to move on. And those things are some of the most important decisions to make of anyone on set, is to know when you've got it, to know when the take worked, when you need to rework something, when you need to change something about it, because you are essentially being the audience. That's why it's so important for actors to trust directors, because the director is the one to tell them if they got it correct, if the character is right, if the take went well, if the line read was good, and it came across like it was supposed to in the script. Now, I'm not an expert by any means, but I did end up directing a short film called Lone Mountain, which, if you want to see more what that's like day to day, I actually have a 4-part series going through the experiences of this short indie film and shooting it on film, actually, which is an interesting twist on that whole story. But in case you're interested in learning more about that, go check out that video right here and watch that entire process of directing a short film on film.